Base versions were offered with a 1.1-liter four-cylinder petrol engine producing 60 horsepower. Such a power unit is only suitable for very calm drivers. Its advantages are high reliability and low repair costs. In 2013, a 3-cylinder 1.0 VTI unit appeared, developing 68 horsepower. He, too, is not able to turn the C3 into a rocket, but it consumes a little fuel, an average of 6.5 L/100 kilometers. The Toyota development motor was borrowed from the small C1. There are no questions about its reliability, but the work culture leaves much to be desired. The 8-valve 1.4-liter engine with 73 horsepower has also proven itself well. However, the engine is not much stronger than the small Japanese 3-cylinder, and the average consumption is almost 1 liter higher. Of the shortcomings of 1.48V TU3, misfires can be mentioned. Surprisingly, it's not the electronics or the ignition coils that are to blame, but the negative battery cable. The manufacturer made it too short. Another weakness is the head gasket. With age, it gives up, which leads to loss of coolant. The model also has stronger aggregates. In particular, the 16-valve 1.4 VTI with a return of 95 horsepower, and 1.6 VTI 120 horsepower. These are modern and economical engines of the EP series with timing chain drive, developed by PSA together with BMW. Unfortunately, they often force us to deal with two problems: excessive oil consumption and malfunctions of the variable valve timing system, due to premature wear of the timing drive elements. The last defect appears after 100,000 kilometers, especially with too long oil change intervals. Another problem with EP family engines is ignition coils. They fail prematurely due to hot gases penetrating through the candles. With faulty coils, it is difficult to start a cold engine. Difficulties with starting can also arise due to a faulty camshaft position sensor. And high fuel consumption is the antics of a damaged lambda probe. Individual owners of cars equipped with 1.4 VTI and 1.6 VTI units have encountered anomalies in the operation of the engine, accompanied by a drop in power, an increase in fuel consumption, and the engine malfunction indicator lights up. The reason is mechanical and is related to the incorrect operation of the hydraulic switches, variator, of the gas distribution phases due to a drop in oil pressure in them. Oil to the variators comes from the cylinder head through the end bearings of the camshafts. A spacer ring is installed between the chamber and the variator. Initially, it was soft. It was made from Pertinax. In later versions of the engine, the ring was made of steel and allowed oil to pass through. PSA solved the problem by replacing the cylinder head with a modified one. The original number 0200HF was changed to 0200HR. The ring is part of the head and is not available as a spare part. It is curious that in some the defect was found after 50 to 100,000 kilometers, while in others it was not planned even after 200,000 kilometers. Experience shows that the described malfunction affects younger specimens. In 2012, another 3-cylinder 1.2 VTI unit with 82 horsepower appeared in the engine lineup. And at the end of 2014, this engine acquired a turbocharger, began to develop 110 horsepower, and received the designation PureTech. In some instances with 1.2 VTI, oil leaks occur through the crankshaft seals. A good choice would be quite rare HD turbo diesels for our market, 1.4/68 horsepower, and 1.6/92, 99, 112 and 114 horsepower. The 1.4 HD is devoid of a dual-mass flywheel, and the particulate filter is practically non-existent. The 1.6 HD is more complex and sometimes requires regeneration of the variable geometry turbocharger and FAP filter. But this is all typical for any modern turbo diesel, including fuel leaks through the sealing washers of the injectors, and malfunctions of the EGR valve. Front and rear suspension is similar to its predecessor. Behind the torsion beam is installed. The manufacturer managed to reduce its weight by 13 kilograms. Only machines with 1.6 VTI and 1.6 HD engines for Euro 5 and Euro 6 were equipped with disc brakes on the rear axle. The rest of the variations were content with drums. Simple and inexpensive to repair, the suspension demonstrates good survivability. Expendable items are bushings and stabilizer struts. From time to time you have to deal with such an ailment as the flow of the rear shock absorbers. Sometimes the front wheel bearings also fail. Sometimes the efforts on the steering wheel begin to change. The steering wheel becomes either heavy or too light. The reason is trivial: the failure of the amplifier. It uses an electromechanical amplifier with an electric motor mounted on the steering rack. The manufacturer provides for the replacement of the rail assembly since the servomotor is not supplied as a separate part. In some cases, changes in effort are caused by malfunctions in the amplifier control unit. If updating the software does not help, the replacement will be very expensive. Lighting up the ESP indicator, accompanied by an ESP/ASR error, may indicate a malfunction of the pressure sensor in the ASR/ESP hydraulic unit. When the diagnosis is confirmed, the block changes entirely. The first generation C3 regularly suffered from electrical problems. The manufacturer has eliminated the shortcomings in the second generation model. Although the small Citroen has a multiplex control system with a BSI unit at the head, almost nothing is heard about serious problems with the electrician. In the cars of the first batches, there were difficulties with starting the engine. Fortunately, after updating the software, the disease receded. And in the case of an unreasonable occurrence of a large number of errors, you need to pay attention to the condition of the battery. After replacing it, all problems go away. You should beware of cars with an automated transmission. It does not differ in durability. In addition, in the robots, drive shafts made in Holland wear out prematurely, material is too soft. And in cars with manual transmission, sometimes the gearshift mechanism needs to be replaced.